Good morning and welcome to the Sleep Show alongside Dr. Bethaney Brenner. I'm Gary Byron. Write this email address down. Write this website down as well. The website is the Burlington Dentist, theburlingtondentist.com. And if you'd like to zip on over an email to us, you got a question, a comment, a concern, if it's of a private nature, you could certainly just address it to Dr. Bethaney Brenner. However, if you think others could benefit from learning more about your question or getting the answer to your question, let us know. We'll be happy to read that on the air. You could send it to drbrennerradio@gmail.com. It's a BRENNER, drbrennerradio@gmail.com. And the phone number is 860-673-7155. You want to schedule a consultation with Dr. Brenner, it's very easy to do. Just call that number, 860-673-7155. By the way, I'll go over those points of contact for you at least 2 more times before the show is over. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, it's so nice to see you. How was your week?
Well,
fun and exciting, I would imagine,
always
from you.
something going on. You know me.
Yeah.
I live on PubMed some days. I like to research. I like to read the new stuff. So it's always fascinating. Plus, I like to go back and if I have patients with quirky little issues, I want to go research things for them.
So what would, give me a small peek into your life. Like, what would you like to do when you're not being Dr. Bethaney Brenner? Yeah, well, yeah, you like to...
Well, I like to read.
I know that.
Yeah, I'm a big reader.
Me too.
And, of course, now I'm getting ready for my garden. So I have a huge organic garden that I do.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of my patients that are into eating that way as well. So I've been having fun conversations with many of my patients who are like... I think they do better than I do, so I'm always looking to learn from them. Mm-hmm. And so I had a few of those in the last week or so. So it's been fun. Yeah, we're catching up with each other.
Very nice.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice thing. It's a healthy thing to do.
And I know you're very social. You go out to eat with your friends and,
and
things like that.
Yeah. We did that. I checked out the Outback the other day. So
you visited Australia.
Yeah, well, it's the steakhouse if you want to kind of see. And so my girlfriend and I went, and we needed to catch up, so Good. It was nice, yeah. I hadn't been out to eat in a while, so I usually eat at home.
I know during the week you eat at home, but you're a social person, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to go out and.
Yeah, I talk to lots of people, and mostly on the phone.
Yeah, but it's usually business. Right?
No. I have friends and I have family, and I have my niece is finishing up her PhD here in a couple of weeks in neuroscience. So I chat with her because she and I talk the same language, and her fiance and I get along really well. So
Good.
Yeah, and so we did a Zoom meeting one weekend just to catch up.
What kind of doctor does she want to be?
She's going to go into research.
Research?
Yeah, neuroscience.
Very nice.
So she's operating on brains of mice, and then she sacrifices them and looks at the slides. And she got invited to go over to Italy to present her research, which at 25 years old is pretty amazing.
How proud are you, huh?
Well, my brother goes, well, at least you can talk to her. He says, I don't know what she's talking about. So we kind of laugh,
You can do that.
Yeah.
I got a kind of an interesting question for you. I've only heard of this recently. Have you ever heard of something called hydrogen water?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So hydrogen water actually came on to the scene when a young man, I think he did it as a science fair project. His name is Tyler LeBaron, did a project on hydrogen water.
Okay.
So hydrogen is an extremely small molecule, right? So think of water as H2O, 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen, right? Mm-hmm. But when you get it, what I'm going to call supersaturated, and they have ways of, it looks like almost like an Alka-Seltzer tablet. You remember how
the fizz?
Yeah. So you'll watch the water fill up with more hydrogen. So when they make hydrogen water, you're getting a lot of hydrogen in this water. When you drink it, it immediately gets absorbed because it's so tiny. It goes through those cell walls and cell membranes. And it has some really interesting effects on the body. And so this guy's set up this research facility now, and he teaches this stuff, and he teaches, more physiology, chemistry of all of that as well. But it's a fascinating subject world. So we don't know everything yet. But the bodybuilder guys, they're into this.
So this is completely healthy.
Oh, yeah. There's no untoward side effects to this. You can't harm yourself with it. As far as I know, everything I see says it's ultra, and you can even have children do this. So what we're seeing now is there's some neurogenerative, regenerative effects. So it helps people get into deeper sleep, helps them get better REM. All right, so those are like our memories and our dreams and things of that nature, which are necessary for cognitive function, right? People who get sleep deprived are really REM deprived. Anyway, so a couple of the things that they're finding that it does is it helps with reducing your glucose levels. It helps decrease your HA1C, which is how your sugar's running over several months. Diabetics are really into that. It reduces your cholesterol. It increases your good cholesterol. It decreases your insulin sensitivity, increases your telomere, which your telomeres are the end of your DNAs, and that's the mitochondria are like really happy with those. And it decreases your homocysteine, so the C-reactive protein and things that we check on blood, all right, are like how's the inflammation running in your body, so it can decrease that. And it also helps with weight loss, interestingly enough. So
And how? Like
I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
it's better than taking that Ozempic or whatever they're shooting.
Well, it might be so Ozempic has side effects, and this is the part that bothers me about
but
that
now
stuff.
there's another. I shouldn't even call those. Ozempic started the craze. Now because it's really
There's two or three
it's a
others.
diabetic medication that just has a side effect of
it's not
losing weight.
It's not a diabetic medication per se.
Oh, I know somebody that was has diabetes and was on Ozempic years ago before it was used for weight loss.
So Ozempic increases your GLP-1. So that's why they're calling them a GLP-1 now. So what does that mean? So there are certain things in our guts that shut down the hunger hormone. GLP-1s are one. So what do these people get? They're not hungry, so they're not thinking about eating. They're not thinking about snacking. Okay? So, and we know how that works. So people who snack all the time, they gain weight, right? And you see these people that do these stomach reductions, they get the bands or whatever they're doing
Right.
because they're quite heavy or obese. And they do these surgeries, and surgeries have side effects, but what are they doing? They're teaching them how to eat differently because they don't have a big enough stomach. So what do? They gain the weight back because they're eating constantly.
I know somebody's done that, yeah.
I do too. And they think it's okay because they can't eat enough, right? And so there's some other issues with that. And so I've seen people who have done it, they lose the weight and then they gain it all back very slowly. So GLP-1s, there's different ways to reduce the hunger hormones and to increase your GLP-1s. Taking Ozempic and Mounjaro and those kinds of things I personally think, are crutches that people live on for a long time, and they've developed a pill now instead of an injection. So I see that on the commercials on TV, and I still question how really safe it is.
Well, to that point, that's where I was going to go. I'm just waiting for a couple of years from now, a few years from now, maybe, that when we start learning that. We're learning that those people who took that all of those weight loss medications
they're seeing so. Across my reading this morning was exactly that. The GLP-1 medications are actually causing bone loss. So you're setting yourself up for osteoporosis. And if you're a 28-year-old girl who's trying to get into modeling or, being some next singer and you got to look, skinny, unfortunately, these kids are losing muscle mass and bone and they can't get it put back on. They really struggle to kind of
just diet the old-fashioned way.
Well,
cut your carbs, cut out carbs.
Cutting the carbs is
watch your calories.
So I tell people when I cut out the grains, and I went gluten-free, and then I decided to cut out all the grains. Interestingly, all of my inflammatory markers all came down to zero. Just doing that. So we don't understand what Monsanto has done to our wheat supply, which is in our crackers and cereals and cakes and flours and gravies, and it's just in everything, right? Even it's in your hair care stuff. It's in your skin care stuff.
How come RFK Jr. hasn't put a stop to Monsanto?
I don't. Monsanto, I think they hire one lobbyist for every 4 or 5 what do they call it? Representatives down in Washington, D.C. They have a lot of money. And so these guys get, lobbyists are very effective, which is why they do that. So they now can, for the companies who are being careful about what their products are, they put on non-GMO, which means it's not genetically modified. But what does that really mean? People don't even know what that means. It means, you get a little Roundup with your flour. Okay, because they changed the plant so the bugs would need it. Well, the bugs don't want it either, and so it's a toxin if you take it over a long period of time. So people like me, I've stayed away from that stuff since I found about it in the 90s. So I just don't want anything that's not non-GMO.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing. So to go back to the hydrogen.
Right.
So hydrogen water has no known side effects. It only has good effects. But you do have to be able to be careful what product you pick.
How come I've never heard of this? I mean, I've heard of alkaline water. I've heard of all different types of bottled waters.
Yeah.
But how come I've never heard of hydrogen water?
I don't know.
Have you? Prior to this recent research?
Yeah. I've heard of it. I was never I looked into it.
I'd like to try it now. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I'm curious too. So I ordered some this morning, actually.
You got to drink a lot of water, don't you?
I drink a lot of water, period. And you can't, but you can overdo water, okay? And you can get yourself out of balance. So your electrolytes become very important. So if I'm drinking water, I put a pinch of Himalayan or sea salt, Celtic salt, into my water.
How much water should you be drinking every day?
Well, it depends on the individual. So a smaller person versus a bigger person. So
me, right here, 6 feet tall.
So a couple liters. I go to work, so this is 20 ounces.
Like a 2-liter bottle of water every day.
Yeah, at least.
All right.
So, and I drink water with meals, but not as much. I drink in the evenings. But you want to be, so the theory is you want to pee until your pee doesn't have a color. Then you have enough water. So to me, when you're getting dehydrated and the color of your urine gets very dark, you don't have enough water. So I like it. I will say I look for a very light colored urine, okay, which usually says you've got enough water going, right? And a lot of times people don't drink it with the salt, so they don't get the sodium, the chloride. You need a little sodium, a little chloride. You need a little magnesium into your system, and that helps you retain the water. So some people, it's in and out, right? So I get a lot of senior citizens who say, well, I'm up half the night peeing, so I don't drink any water after 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow, that's only midday.
I realize that, but they think that's affecting how much they're peeing at night. So we actually produce hormones that shut that part off while we're sleeping. So what's disturbing your sleep cycles? And this is how I get involved in this. So how many times do you wake up to go to the bathroom is usually what I ask. I have people that go every hour. Okay, you can't possibly have that much to pee, just saying. And so the explanation is that for every apneic event that you have, you're having to respond to the closure of your airway, right? So you're being without oxygen, heart rate increases, cortisol's increased, your diaphragm starts to spasm, and when the spasm hits the right side of the heart, you release a natural diuretic. Now, pregnant women understand that because they all pee all the time, right? So when you have somebody who's not pregnant and they're having to do this, there's something out of whack with the system. Okay. Now, it's not uncommon. Like if I am out and it's hot and I'm drinking a lot of water to stay hydrated, I might get up once during the night. But typically that's not until I've been asleep for 7 hours, so early morning, 4 or 5 o'clock, right before I'm supposed to get up anyway, because I tend to sleep 8-9 hours.
I know, you told me that before. That's just,
I
can't, I don't remember the last time I ever, years.
Well,
even on weekends.
It's funny, I had this conversation very recently because we're looking at our military doing all of those exercises over in the Middle East, right? And these guys, they teach them how to sleep, how to go to sleep very quickly. And because they're on for 4 hours. And I really like to interview maybe we could do something one Saturday where we're having one of these guys come on, maybe somebody who's retired, has been a Navy SEAL or something like that. Because my father, who was in the military, and he was a pilot, I could watch him sit down and go to sleep like that, just like that. He could go to sleep. And my mother's like, how does he do that?
I'm jealous.
I know. But for those of us who aren't trained like that, right? So, but he could sleep on a plane. He could sleep anywhere. And I do think they teach this because these guys get trained and they live this life where they're on for so many hours and they're having to cycle through those things. And then when they're on high alert and doing wartime exercises, they don't get a day off. Those guys have been going for, 6-7 weeks straight now?
Right.
So I think they're probably looking forward to having 2 weeks off or so. We'll see. We'll see how it all goes.
Let me do this really fast because I got a few other questions I want to ask you when it comes to this hydrogen water. I'm fascinated by it. Folks, you are listening to The Sleep Show along with Dr. Bethaney Brenner. I'm Gary Byron. You can find her online at theburlingtondentist.com. Here, write this phone number down. I guess you could call it now. She's a little busy at the moment. We're in 10 minutes, give her a jingle. Today, give her a jingle. Sometime over the weekend or early part of next week, call her. Make an appointment. It's who doesn't have or know someone who has a sleeping disorder? Here's a number, 860-673-7155. And if you didn't get that, I'll give it to you one more time before the show is over. Okay, so this hydrogen water, how do we get this?
Well,
I don't think I've ever seen it in.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. And you can see it packaged. Some of it comes prepackaged. Some of it comes with tablets that you can dissolve in water. Now,
I'm thinking it's like you could buy it like a bottle of water.
You can, but it's much more difficult and more expensive to do that. So they typically have it in a tablet form. Okay, so you're gonna dissolve it in the water and drink it immediately, and you want to guzzle it down in its entirety.
That's like you were saying the Alka-Seltzer effect that you were earlier. Yeah.
Right. So and it doesn't have the effect of like drinking like an Alka-Seltzer, because think about
the
all
fizz.
of exactly. So there's no fizz in this. So once it's dissolved in there, it's going to look cloudy, and then you're going to drink it straight down. So best to drink it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. You can also drink it before you go to bed.
All right. So the effects that it has, is what?
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to read a couple things just because I prepared this so I would sound more efficient in it. So sleep loss contributes to various health issues, which we know, and impairs neurological function. Molecular hydrogen has recently gained popularity as a non-toxic, ergogenic, and health-promoting drink. Short sleep, defined as the duration of less than 6 hours, which we've talked about other times, significantly increases mortality, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, coronary heart disease, and obesity, okay? Mm-hmm. So we want to kind of go and say, what can we do that makes our body healthier, right? We try to know we should eat right, we should get some exercise, right? And I have chats with people who only do cardio, and they need to do some resistance training or some weightlifting to offset that so that they get that. They maintain their muscle mass, because maintaining muscle mass as we get into our elderly years helps promote health overall. We have better balance. We don't fall down as much, but we get so that we sit more. We're not as energetic, right? And then there are people who have sleep issues and they don't even realize that they're losing their neurocognitive abilities, okay? So they did a randomized double-blind controlled study, and they showed that hydrogen-rich water could reduce inflammatory responses in adults, which lead to increased antioxidant capacity, which means that we're going to be effectively going against the things that cause aging in the body. So the benefits of the hydrogen have been evaluated in conditions such as cardiac fibrosis, neuronal disease, hepatic injury, which is liver injury, radiation-induced disease, diabetes, and other conditions. So it's shown to have basically an antioxidant effect. They call it apoptotic, which is meaning the cells that normally will die, they're dying on time, not hanging out. We call them zombie cells after a while. Cytoprotective means it's protecting your cells, and its anti-inflammatory properties. And it has no side effects. So children, it's safe for children, it's safe for adults, it's the same for sick people, it's the same for people who have cancer. There's no downside to this. There's only an upside to this. And since hydrogen is produced in our body, in our own gut system as well, how much are you producing? We don't know. I don't know.
Well, no.
Maybe some researcher knows. I don't know.
So it's got benefits.
Oh, yeah.
A plethora of them, as you were just mentioning.
Yeah.
When would you suggest is the most appropriate time to have a glass of hydrogen water?
First thing in the morning,
okay,
on an empty stomach, and then on an empty stomach before you go to bed. If we want to have better sleep benefits, we want to get into deeper sleep, we want to have more REM.
So before breakfast?
Yeah.
And then wait a half an hour and then make breakfast?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not even a half an hour, 20 minutes.
That's okay. That's
enough.
fair. That's
so
doable.
It's like if you have it in, let's say, in your bathroom, like after you brush your teeth, make a little glass of hydrogen water right there. I take, I have these containers like I have here. I have the stainless steel, but I also have the ceramic kind. And I put my water in there. So because I drink my reverse osmosis water. I don't drink from the tap, okay? So I have those in my bathroom. And I take any kind of my morning's ritual, I drink some water first thing. So I'm going to add, I haven't done this yet, even myself. So I'm talking about it. I ordered it today. And so I'm going to wait to get my stuff, and I'll let you know. We can talk about it another time.
I got to tell you, I have, between now and next Saturday, that when we're together next, I
don't know that I'll have it.
I want to try this. I'm going to look for these pills. But I know it's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I don't buy anything from Amazon, but I'm sick and tired of getting Jeff Bezos even more rich than he already is. I like the mom and pops. I know they're having a hard time.
Yeah, there's a couple of companies that I would recommend. So one is called Quicksilver Scientific.
Okay.
And they're online. They produce and make a hydrogen tablet. There's another guy that I've been reading for many years, and his name is Ari Whitten. And now I'm not trying to plug him, but you could go to his website.
But if I walked into the vitamin shop, or if I walked into...
I have no idea if they have it. I don't go into those places.
What is that? I forget the name of it. If gyms may even have it.
I have no idea who has it.
Okay.
I'm
curious.
I sat on a webinar that was done through Quicksilver where Tyler LeBaron actually came on and gave the lecture. Okay. And this was a couple of weeks ago. And then I was like, huh. And then I heard another lecture that Ari Whitten did, and the same guy had him on, and he does these little programs, and I get lots of webinars. So sometimes I'll sit in for an hour, sometimes it's like boring, I'm off, but sometimes I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. I like to hear from the horse's mouth, and this is the guy who's doing the nonprofit research in this area. He has a whole institute that he's now put together. He also teaches, I think, at one of the medical schools. So it's the kind of thing where if you're hearing from the horse's mouth, what is he going to say, you know? And they talk about how they've developed it. And a lot of them, the better ones, are put together with a little bit of magnesium in them. And so...
Well, that could upset your stomach, right?
No. There's not enough in there to cause an issue. Magnesium is sucked up by every cell in your body. I take magnesium every single day.
What's that Phillips milk of magnesium?
So that's stuff to help you go poop.
Well, okay, so it has something to do with your stomach.
So there's 7 different kinds of magnesium.
Ah, well, now we're getting answers here. That would explain it.
Right. So it's always interesting because the physicians only know of those guys, those particular things like milk of magnesia. I think kaopectate and Pepto-Bismol have them in them too. So the magnesium citrate makes you go poop. Okay. So I stay away from that stuff. I like a particular brand called BioOptimizers, so it has like 4 or 5, 6 different kinds of magnesium in it. L-threonate is the one that crosses the blood-brain barrier, so it helps people with sleep. So I try to tell people you want to have probably 500 milligrams a day, maybe 250 in the morning, 250 like at dinner time, somewhere in there. I try to split my supplements up so that I'm not overdosing at any one time. But magnesium is something that's in my daily purview.
Okay.
That, and I like vitamins. Like,
Oh, I know you like your vitamins.
yeah, well, I do a lot of B vitamins. I'm a stressed girl, so I hate to say it, but I'm stressed. But I'm stressed in a good way because when I go to work, it's like showtime.
Well,
I
you're
have to-
busy.
well,
Look how busy you are between your dentist.
But I have to be cognitively busy at the same time, so I can't be like sitting out and sleeping while someone's talking to me about their problems.
Look, what I know of you, that would never happen.
No, I'm very. I'm highly responsible. That's
Yeah, and you're energetic. You're active.
Yeah.
And you're busy.
Yeah. Well, but I like this kind of stuff. So for me, as my brother says to me, he goes, "You're such a nerd," and then and I take that as a compliment because
Nowadays, nerds are fashionable.
well, it wasn't for a long time.
When I was in high school, you didn't want to be a nerd.
The thing is that to me, it's like information, and I like connecting the dots, as you know. That's why we talk about so many different things on this show, is that you want to have, oh, how does that connect to this? How does that connect to that? And then, oh, by the way, it affects this. Oh, I didn't know
Right.
that. So I'm trying to bring something new, at least once a month to this show.
Once a month. Every weekend, you're bringing something new to this show.
Well, I try. It's not always easy, right? So I have to go and read some of the research. So I go back on PubMed and I try to prepare.
Correct me.
But I thought it would be kind of interesting to bring up something that has some neuroprotective capability and help you with better deep sleep, right? This is really where we want to get our body to, is good deep sleep.
All right. On that note, I got to wrap things up here.
Oh,
I know.
we're already done?
I've got less than a minute. I know. I got to give you my points of contact that I make promises. I got to fulfill. Folks, if you would like more information on this topic or any of the others that we've discussed here on this show every Saturday morning, you can certainly head on over to her website. That is theburlingtondentist.com. She is a dentist, after all. If you've got a quick question that you want to zip on over to us, you think other people could benefit from the answer, or if it's something more of a private nature, just indicate that through email, which you could send to drbrennerradio@gmail.com, BRENNER. And the phone number that I think you should start calling right now to schedule your no obligation consultation, 860-673-7155. Let me repeat that for you one more time. I'll slow it down. 860-673-7155. For Dr. Bethaney Brenner, I'm Gary Byron. Thank you so much for listening to The Sleep Show. Until next Saturday morning, have a good one, everybody. So long.